Challenge 4. Win a buffalo race.
Buffalo racing's a national sport in Cambodia. Rival villages battle it out in dramatic style to win the coveted prizes. So we headed off to a small town in the north of Cambodia where there was a buffalo festival going on.
After a 6-hour journey upriver, we've swapped into a smaller boat, which is taking us to the town of Siem Reap. It's a pretty poverty-stricken place, I've got to say. Just a whole load of wooden shacks floating on the river, which people share with sort of pigs and cattle and all sorts of horrible insects.
A car took us inland.
This is where I'm going to be doing my buffalo racing, possibly against these young gentlemen jockeys. Everyone a Lester Piggott in the making. Hello. I'm following you. You're the English speaker. There's a massive sow over there. Can I hold your pig? Squeal like a big boy.
Well, they obviously hadn't seen Deliverance, but they seemed friendly.
Some of my buffalo fans come see the champion. Champion.
I tried some gamesmanship.
Feel that? It's buffalo champion. Buffalo champion. I must say, I love what they've done with this fence. Oh, there's a buffalo over there. I think. It's the buffalo cart that is drawn by 2 buffaloes. I'm going to go and inspect it, make sure it's in good working order. I don't want to hear that Ben-Hur nonsense where the wheel falls off and I get crushed to death. So where do you sit? You sit up there? Where do you sit? There? Oh, you sit behind it. Buffalo. There we go. I've seen what you do now. You sit behind the buffalo, which I've got to say aren't going at a great lick. Mind of their own, however small. I haven't been able to choose my own buffaloes. So presumably the village boys will have picked the fastest buffaloes and I'm going to get 2-1 set for the Knacker's Yard. All these people have come to see me take part in the buffalo race.
I was introduced to my co-pilot, who I was assured had won the coveted Red Buffalo Trophy 4 times.
These are my adoring fans. They've all come to see me triumph in the buffalo race against their local talent. There can only be one winner in the eyes of the people. I can't let them down.
The crowd was near fever pitch as we came under starters' orders. And they're off! Well, at least they were. Just as I supposed, I'd been given a couple of wrong-uns. They seemed hell-bent on going sideways. It wasn't as if the opposition were breaking any land speed records, but I was making them look like Frankie Dettori. It was an utter humiliation. Even my adoring fans had started to go home by the time that I limped in last. To make matters worse, there wasn't a boat back to the capital for 3 days, so we had to pick our way slowly through the locals lining the road and find a cheap hotel in one of the nearby jungle towns. I dare say most travellers would be charmed by all these open-air food stalls, cheeky little monkeys and traditional toys. But as a fat Westerner who prefers 5-star luxury and air conditioning, I found it unbearable, especially when I got the shits again from cleaning my teeth with tap water. Thanks, Cambodia.
Challenge 5. Convince a tourist that Angkor Wat was built by the British.
Some of you may recognise this temple as a stunning example of 9th century architecture. But let's be honest, if it rings a bell at all, it's probably because you saw it in Tomb Raider, that film where Angelina Jolie gets her knockers out.
Do you think it's any coincidence that that is exactly the same size as Lord's cricket ground? Welcome to Angkor Wat, fellas. Enjoy yourself. Notice how very, very similar to Westminster Abbey it looks.
My plan was simple. Even though this temple looks about as British as an igloo, I was going to persuade people it was actually knocked up by some of our Crusader knights who'd taken a wrong turn after twatting the Turks. Well, it could have happened, and in my experience, package tourists will believe anything you tell them so long as you keep a straight face. It was actually built with the help of British Crusaders. Pamphlets, they're all lies. They just told you it's Cambodian. Incredibly similar to Romanesque architecture at the same time in Britain. After the Crusades, they kept going. They got to India, following the route of Alexander the Great. Angkor Wat is the only one which faces west, which is back home where we're coming from. It's got a moat, like a castle in England. British Crusader knights.
with the cross of St George and the European helmet and weapons. Wow. Not the curved sword of the East, but the straight sword.
The statues,
Yes.
which were used here, they look like British soldiers. Have I understood it?
Yes. That was where Richard the Lionheart and Lambert Simnel had a jacuzzi together. It's a fact.
Amazingly, people seemed to believe me. They even began to see the official guidebook as a piece of communist propaganda.
By the British. More lies, more rubbish. Buddhist indeed. But is this safe?
The easiest to convince were the Japanese and Europeans, but sometimes I'd run up against some Brits.
Hello. Oh yeah. Do you realise that this is all British?
No.
They weren't so easily duped by my patriotic sales patter.
Hello. Don't be fooled by the palm trees and the snakes. This place was built by the British. The British. These guys up here with the hard hats, they're actually removing some 12th century British graffiti. It's been found under the mildew. It says, Geoffrey Chaucer does it with pigs. Perhaps libelous to the great man, but I think it should stay. Further proof. It mounts.
It was all going quite well, really, but to pass the challenge I needed someone to actually agree with me. I got close with this girl, but no cigar.
It's a theory. I know this started as a joke challenge, but I'm almost beginning to believe it myself now, especially as the local water actually features a Union Jack. Conspiracy or coincidence? You decide.
It's Cambodian.
No. See that? British. Actually looks like a map of England. There you go. Kent, over to Devon, East Anglia. So the British had a hand in building it in the 11th century. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Would you support that?
Yeah.
Just in the cause of truth?
Yeah. Yes.
Result!
It's time to pay my forfeit. I failed one task, and as a punishment, I'm going to have to drink a glass of medicinal wine. Oh my God. Bits of rotting flesh are falling off this thing. That is some sort of monkey. That is the remains of a frog. Not the snake. It's been nicely tied into a loop. It's not quite Beatrix Potter, is it, somehow? How do you know this isn't poisonous? Well, the French eat them. How bad can it be? Oh, fuck!